Whether you're new on eBay or trying to revamp your shop for a boost, I'm going to share 10 important tips for new eBay sellers. Hi everybody, my name is Margaret. I am a reselling homeschooling mom that flips things on eBay and other platforms to help support my family. In this video, I'm going to share 10 important tips for new eBay sellers when you're just starting out on eBay or if you're looking for revamping your shop to kickstart some sales. If you're new here, welcome. Go over there and hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it so you're notified when I put out new videos about selling online. So I am going to go into detail on these 10 items. It's not just going to be, here's 10 items, go figure it out, but I'm going to take a minute and talk to you about each one in depth so you'll know exactly where to find the things that I'm talking about and how to do it on your own. So I'm giving you 10 tips. I want you to go down there, especially if you're a seasoned seller watching, or if you're new and you picked up a great tip, go down and leave a comment for everybody else. I'm giving you 10, you give me 1. So the first tip is finding something to sell. Now, you could just start by selling things around your house, or if you're really wanting to do a little research before you start thrifting or garage selling to find things to sell online, then there is a way to go online and find out what kinds of things are selling, just to kind of give yourself some knowledge, some background knowledge, so you're not out there flying blind picking up things that you're not quite sure if they're going to sell or not. Let's take a look. So first thing is figuring out what you can flip for a profit, whether it's things you've got around your house, let's say coffee mugs or wallets or different things that you've got maybe in your closet or in your kitchen that you think you might be able to flip for a profit. Then one way to find out what might sell is to come to eBay and do a search for it. Now, I frequently do this to try to learn about new brands that are flipping for a high profit, so I'll show you that as well. So what you're going to do, let's say I want to find out, I've got this mug and I don't want it anymore, but I do. I would come over and type it in. Maybe I'm going to put Harry Potter mug and search. So what you're going to see when it first pulls up are things that are up for sale right now. What you'll need to do is look over in this bar way off to the side where all these little bullet points are that you can select, and you're going to come down and select sold items. Now this is going to pull up sold items, and it has sorted them automatically by whether it's ended recently. So these are the most recent sales. So these are good to look at because you'll know these are ones that have sold fairly recently, whether it's today, yesterday. But if you're really looking for, let's say you really want to start finding mugs to sell. So when you go out to thrift stores, you're going to be looking at mugs. You might consider coming over and selecting this by price and shipping highest first. This will sort them, I think, from the last 90 days or so, from the highest price item down to the lowest. So my first and second tips sort of rolled in together. My second tip is learn how to find sold listings on eBay. Since I showed it to you already on the desktop version, I'm going to go ahead right now and show you how to find them on your phone, because if you're out at the thrift store or garage sales, most likely you're going to have your phone with you and not your laptop computer. So let me do this. I'm going to screen share from my phone. So I'm pulling up the eBay app on my phone, and I'm coming over and I want to search. Let's say I found a blue Vera Bradley wallet at a thrift store and I want to find out if it's worth selling. So I'm going to type in what I see in the item, blue Vera Bradley wallet, and it self fills in for me. And so here I can see all of the ones that are up for sale right now, and that can give you a fair idea. But if you want to find the sold listings, come over to where it says filter at the top. Then you're going to scroll down to sold items and select that toggle, click done, and then you'll be able to see the sold items for blue Vera Bradley wallet, and you can scroll through and see if you see the one that you found at the garage sale. If it has a line drawn through it, that means that a best offer was accepted, and there's a way to find that on Flipper Tools, so you can go and enter that in over there. I don't know how to do that on the fly. You can probably do it on your phone, but I've never done that. So as you can see, Depending on what they're asking for the particular wallet, I might decide that it's not a good pickup if they're asking for $3 for it and it's selling, say, for $8. But if it's a dime, that might still be an okay pickup for an $8 or more flip, because as you can see, some are selling for more. All right, so that is how you find the sold listings on your phone. So being able to find sold listings when you're out in the wild looking for items can really help you be more discerning about what you're picking up, what you're bringing home to flip, and maybe help you out, especially when you're beginning, not to spend money on things that really aren't going to bring in a profit. It's also a really great way to experiment with things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone, that you can look them up while you're out. My third tip is to decide whether you're going to do auction versus buy it now. You have an option on eBay to put your items on auction, and you also have the opportunity, the option to put them on buy it now, which means you just set a flat price. There's a big debate. People have their, fairly strong feelings about which is better and which they prefer. And I think once you get your feet wet with it, you'll have a feeling of it for yourself. Personally, almost all of my items are buy it now, which means I put a flat price on it. I do allow all buyers to make offers. There's a way to add make offer for buyers to send offers. And then and then I put it on good till canceled, so it automatically renews it whenever it expires. So I don't have to go in and renew it or relist it or do anything like that. The few times I have used the auction feature, it's when it's an item that has a high collectability base. So there's a lot of people searching for this item. It's very collectible, like vintage Star Wars toys. And then also something that might be scarce that those people would want. So I have an Ewok village that I attempted to auction off. I got one auction, but it didn't meet the reserve price. And then I've auctioned off a decapitated Darth Vader figure, but he had all these other cool pieces. And so that worked out well because he was in really bad shape and I didn't really know what to list him for. So I put him up as an auction and that worked out. But I'd love to hear from you because I know some of you might be doing auction or buy it now. Go down and leave a comment and let us know how you choose or decide to use one or the other. My fourth tip is learning how to craft a really good title. The title is what is going to come up in search if somebody is searching for your mug, your wallet, whatever it is that you're selling. There's a really easy way to do this. So one of the ways I suggest doing this is to search for your item and see what other people have put in their titles and harvest words from theirs, especially titles from sold listings, because that means the buyer found it and some keyword in that title helped them get to it. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So I have an item that is a Christmas tree skirt and it is French, and I want to see what other people have put in their listings to make them be found. I want to make sure that what people are searching for I have in my title so that I can make sure that my item is in the search when people are looking for it. So I've typed in French Christmas tree skirt. I want to come over. I will come back and look at these that are still up, but I really want to focus at first on what is sold. The reason is these are ones that people have found and bought and they were found. So that's the important part. So as I look through, I'm seeing French, I'm seeing Christmas tree skirt. This has got linen, so that's a good tip to put in there what it's made of. Now I'm going to come back and take a peek at ones that are still up for sale. The first one there's mine. Burlap, fleur-de-lis, Christmas tree skirt, brown, holiday, French country rustic, 48 inches. So I was trying to figure out if there were any words I could have used better. Like, I'm happy to take out the word holiday because I doubt holiday is going to be one of the words that's going to be in search, but I was trying to figure out what would be a better word for me that somebody might actually be searching for. So, I might come back and put in Noel because that's French for it. So that's something to think about. So let me look and see if I can get any other tips from these other titles. Country French theme, that is something. Do I have country in there? Yeah, country rustic French, because there's a whole style of French country that people tend to like. I'm going to leave mine for now, but I just wanted to give you that tip. If you're trying to figure out how to title your item, look at what other sellers are doing, because you can get really good keywords from those. I would hesitate, or I would caution you against using words that people don't search. So if you're using the word beautiful, if you're using adjectives that are very not as far as descriptive adjectives, because size and color and shape and things like that are good, but more flowery, pretty, awesome, things like that are just taking up space that are not going to be searched. My sixth tip is knowing what supplies you're going to need to ship your items. I would really recommend making sure you've got shipping supplies for your items before you list them, because if you list an item and then you have to scramble to get it shipped, that might cause you a bit of anxiety and it might not get out on time. So the important things that you need are scissors, packing tape, boxes, and some sort of packing material. Please make sure that you get boxes. Amazon boxes are okay. I would suggest not using food boxes, because there are a lot of people nowadays with allergies that can cause problems for different people with different allergies. But using tissue paper, bubble wrap, there's craft paper, the kind of plain craft paper. I even saw rolls. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should go back. Our local newspaper had rolls of newsprint, and at first I thought, that'd be good for the kids for their art. But there was quite a bit left on the roll that they were getting rid of, and it was like $4 for this part of the roll, and that would be really easy to tear off. I'm going back to the newspaper to get this craft, the newsprint, but that would be really easy to tear off and use as filler around your item. So depending on what you're selling, keep in mind that you need to get some supplies ready. Another thing that's really handy to have is a scale. And I do have a large scale for really heavy packages, but I rarely use it. And this is the scale I've been using since I started. It's a Weight Watchers scale, and it doesn't measure really super heavy things, but what I do if I have something that's really heavy is I go to my bathroom scale, I weigh myself, and then I weigh myself with the item, and I just kind of round up to the next pound just to cover myself. So I'm sure other seasoned resellers will say, make sure you get a scale that is big enough for heavy packages too. I've been doing this and I haven't had any problems. So you don't need to go out and spend a whole bunch of money on shipping supplies and tools that you need if you've got something around the house. If you're selling specialty items, there might be some other specialty type tools you need. For example, if you're selling jewelry, you might need a magnet and a loop to be able to see what the marks are, and then special items to ship them in, like little baggies or boxes. I also make a thank you card. This I made on Vistaprint, I believe. Thank you, with a coupon code and all that on it. But for many years before I started doing this, I would just get blank cards from thrift stores, garage sales, and just jot a quick thank you note to put in with my package. I always like putting something in, a thank you note or one of my flyers, because when I do that, I notice that my feedback increased. Because people are reminded, hey, please go over and leave feedback. On a side note, don't hound your buyers to leave you feedback. They'll either do it or don't, but don't poke the bear, because if you poke them and ask them to leave you feedback and it's not good, you will regret it. So a thank you card is a gentle way to encourage them to leave feedback. So one more quick tip I have for shipping supplies. The United States Postal Service has free priority mail shipping boxes and envelopes that they will send to you if you come and order them. So you come over to Quick Tools, free boxes, and then you can see here there's lots of different free boxes that you can order. The ones that I use a lot, I think it's a 6x7x7. It's a smaller box, priority mail, and then the padded flat rate mailers, which is a bubble mailer. But depending on what you want to do, you can come through and look at the different boxes and sizes depending on what you are going to be shipping. My next tip is to learn how to accurately calculate your shipping. This was one of the biggest learning curves for me when I first started, and I still get it wrong sometimes. One tip I give you is to charge a little bit more than you think it's going to be, and I would put a line in my description, any shipping charges that are over $2, then the actual shipping price will be refunded. So that way, if I ended up really overcharging for shipping, I was able to go back and refund anything. If it was like a $1.50, I wouldn't do it. But if it was anything more than $2, I would go back and refund the difference in shipping. So that's another thing to think about, especially if you're getting started, is that you might consider doing flat rate shipping if your item will fit. So the post office has small, large, and medium flat rate boxes and envelopes that you could order some from the post office to see how big they are, and then they are a flat rate price, so you would be able to charge exactly what the box or envelope would cost. Let me show you how to calculate a price for your shipping. So in order to calculate a shipping price, you'll come over to Quick Tools and select Calculate a Price. You'll enter in your zip code, where you're mailing from. You'll enter in where it's going. I like to pick far places, so I always pick 90210 because I can remember that. And then I'll come down here and you can see flat rate boxes, but if I'm just calculating a price, I'll select Calculate a Price based on shape and size. Let's say that my item is 2 pounds. Let's say I have a really heavy mug. So I've got a package. This is for packages that are over 12 inches. So over here I'm selecting package. So let's say I have an 8 by 8 by 8 box. I just want to see how much it's going to cost. Over here, it's showing you the different options, and these are flat rate boxes, flat rate, medium flat rate, small flat rate, priority 3-day. So that's just the regular, I'm just going to mail it in my own box. And so it's telling me that it's going to cost me $11.75 to ship that box. So I might put $12 as the shipping price to my customer. And if I'm a little nervous, I might put $13 and then just refund the difference. Tip number 7 is to accurately describe your item, including all the flaws. I know you may be tempted, especially when you're first starting out, to get those first sales, but it's a better idea to under-promise and over-deliver, because it can really affect your feedback if you're shipping out items that you're not disclosing all the flaws. So describe your item accurately and let the buyer know these are the issues that it has, so that they can make the choice whether or not to buy it. I'm going to use this really old listing of mine as an example. This is from when I very first started selling, and we won't even go into the pictures yet, but my description here is: these chatty little bluebirds have a lot to say. Imagine the chirpy conversation they must have together. I was very new. My title is short, small. It's not completely accurate. I didn't even put that there were 2. I put pair. So I should have put that, there's some brown stuff in the creases. I should have let the buyer know if there were any chips or cracks or any other flaws or damage that I could see. And there are no pictures of the bottom. So I was really rolling the dice here, and luckily the buyer bought them and enjoyed them and got them. But I really could have shot myself in the foot here by not putting in all of the flaws and defects. Even if I couldn't find many, I tried to. I can honestly say I probably never say excellent condition, because my version of excellent condition and someone else's version of excellent condition can be totally different. So I try to stick to the facts. This is what I see, or if I don't see a whole lot wrong with it, I might even just put good vintage condition with minor wear as seen in the photos. So I still put something that gives them the heads up, like go look at the photos just to make sure. I didn't see anything, or I saw minor stuff. So really make sure you're describing your items well. I did get the measurements in there. Check that box, because that's another thing that your buyer will have a problem with if they get something and they thought it was bigger because the picture made it look bigger for whatever reason, and then it wasn't. So accurately describe your item. Tip number 8 also has to do with the description, and my tip number 8 is to make your description as easy to read as possible. You don't want the buyer getting turned off trying to figure out the information they're looking for and having to read through a big paragraph to pick out the pieces that they're looking for. So try to come up with maybe some kind of template for yourself. I'll show you an example of mine, and put in there the pertinent information and make sure that it stands out. So if the buyer is looking for, oh, how big is this again? They can just go straight to measurements. What's wrong with this again? Condition, and they can go see it. Who made this again? Brand. So let me show you. So back to this item, I didn't have any really important information here other than they measure 2 inches tall by 2 inches wide. Now, when I create listings, I make sure that I have a description, I have the condition, and I try to make sure that it's not bold print, but I have got a, it says condition dash, here it is, measurements dash. So if they're searching through this, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to find what they're looking for, so they don't get frustrated and just like, oh, never mind, go to the next one, right? So I suggest doing something like this. And this item, I did end up putting a video for it because it moves, and so I did that. But here is a condition, because we were talking about condition a second ago. Missing cover, first 2 pages, book starts on page 3, well loved with discolorations, creases, and wear. So they can see clearly that there is wear to the items. My 9th tip also has to do with the listing, and that is a picture speaks 1,000 words. So you want to make sure that you've got clear pictures. Use the allotted amount of pictures that they give you, if at all possible. Try to make sure that you've taken pictures of all of the great things about your item, but also all the flaws. And make sure you get some sort of ruler in there, measuring tape, something to show the scale of the item so that the buyer can see what it looks like next to a penny. So they know in relation to this is how big it is. I try to use a measuring tape so that they can see exactly how big it is. So again, let's go back and look at my 2 listings. So this one is actually not terrible. I've got a wrinkled sheet or something in the background because I was really trying to learn how to do this with my photos and just have a clean white background. And it was a big learning curve. Other than learning shipping, getting the pictures down like I do now was my next biggest hurdle, but I knew how important it was. I knew that the picture is going to sell my item. So really think about getting pictures in there that show all the good things and all the flaws. And this rolls into the 10th and maybe one of the most contentious ones, and that is eBay returns. I suggest turning on eBay returns, and I know some people really don't want to accept returns. So put yourself in the buyer's shoes. If you are looking at an item to buy on eBay and it's not, brand new in box, but the buyer doesn't accept returns, chances are that you might pass on it and go to the next buyer. I also want to point out that even if you say you won't accept returns, eBay will force it on you if the buyer wants to return it. And I'm going to show you on eBay's site where it tells the buyers that even if the seller does not accept returns, if you're not happy with the item, you as the buyer can still return it. So here is eBay's site, return an item for a refund. So this is geared towards the buyer. But if you scroll down, you can read in this paragraph, it says, if the item you received is damaged, doesn't match the item description, or if it's the wrong item, you're covered. You can return it even if the seller's return policy says they don't accept returns. So I know here it says if you no longer want the item, you'll be able to see if the seller offers returns, but I'm warning you in advance that eBay will 99.9% of the time side with the buyers as far as returns go. And it may not be something that you want to hear. It may not be something that we like as sellers. It may be something that is really frustrating in many, many ways. And it just is, though. That's the rules of selling on eBay, unfortunately. And so it might be hurting your sales to say that you're not accepting returns, because eBay would probably make you accept it anyway. So you might as well just turn it on and then let the chips fall where they may. It might help boost your sales. But that being said, if you take great pictures, if you describe your item accurately, if you have great communication with your buyer, you shouldn't have a problem with the eBay returns. There are rare and unfortunate instances that do occur as far as eBay returns go, but luckily they're with my account, they're few and far between. I've probably had 2, maybe 3 returns in the last year. So it's not something that you generally have to worry about. It is very frustrating when eBay sides with the buyer and you feel like it is eBay is an error and they shouldn't have. But unfortunately, they will. So, yeah, branch out, try other sites too. But if you are considering not accepting returns, it will likely hurt your sales and you would have to accept their return anyway. I want to hear from you. I gave you 10 tips for beginning or seasoned sellers that need a refresher. Go down there and leave me 1 tip that you suggest for new sellers. Leave me a thumbs up if you found this video helpful, and I'd like to hear your feedback. If you felt like there was something I got wrong or something that I could have done better, leave me a thumbs down and a comment telling me what I could have done better, because I really want to hear. And I will talk to you on the next one. Thanks so much for being here. Bye.